We have one of the strangest positions I've ever seen, honestly. This is really a wild position. My opponent is playing unbelievably well. This position is a complete mess, guys. That's a complete mess. I would easily appraise that this guy's level was like 2200.
Welcome back, guys. Today we are playing a Grandmaster, Mr. Birdmaster 3000, and we get the white pieces. So let's start off with E4 and see what Raven has for us. This guy is an incredible player, and if you've not checked out his channel, make sure you do, or maybe you already have. Who knows?
Here we go. It's time to go. I hope everything with my mic is good. I have the mic really close to my face at the moment. So E4, King Pawn. I'm wondering what to respond with. I'll respond with C5. We'll go with the Sicilian.
It'll be linked in the description, and we're playing the Sicilian.
The Sicilian's one of my favorite openings. Knight C3. All right. Is he going to go for a Grand Prix attack?
So there's a joke on my channel about how, when we see the Sicilian, I've already won. But yeah, we're going to play in this fashion, even though he's played E6.
And yeah, I hate it. I cannot stand the Grand Prix attack or playing against it. I have terrible memories getting checkmated back in the Marshall Chess Club when I was like 14 years old. And yeah, it's always just been very painful for me to meet this opening. So what am I going to do here? From what I remember, I can play D5 immediately. I'll play D5 immediately. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so they strike in the center right away. So I think I can still go for this. Push through, we just give a check, take, and it's all fine.
Okay, I think that should be a little bit of a mistake. From what I remember, he's supposed to take and play bishop b5. And weirdly enough, it goes into positions that you can also get in the bird, because of course the bird starts with 1f4.
And guys, he's not 2200. He is like 2450 FIDE. He is a Grandmaster. So don't let this...
Honestly, I feel like I studied some positions where d4 is normal, but what? D4 is very normal. I could play knight f6, e5, and then d4.
And I believe he became a Grandmaster 2 years ago, something like that. I think I saw.
I'll wait him out a little bit. I want to get a better idea of what his plans are here. I'll play knight c6 first. This way I might be able to play d4. The idea is that I don't want to play d4 that soon, because then he might still commit this bishop over to the normal g2 square. If the bishop comes out to e2, then I will probably play d4.
Kind of transposes back into the Grand Prix attack. So I'm thinking of playing...
A really good analogy for how you play the opening is it's like an information game. I'm just trying to get a bit more time to get more information on his setup here. And then, depending on that, I might react with d4.
I don't think... You don't really want to take in the center. And I think he's threatening to push now, because there's not any check. So I'm actually going to play bishop out.
15 plus 10? More time to think, more time for some good content. Bishop b5. Bishop b5 is a wild move. That is a really wild move. It's not a bad move, though. Definitely not a bad move.
And now, if he goes d4, we can just go knight e2. And of course, I mean, there could be lines where he plays d3, which we've talked about in the past, but...
In what situation would this bishop not be well placed here? I guess I should go for a French. In the French, this bishop would make no sense here. So I'll play knight f6.
Just develops. So now he's attacking the e5 square. So I don't really see why I wouldn't play d3 here.
Yeah, for those of you who are wondering why I might have low energy now, it's because I just had a box of Fig Newtons. The Brazilian kind, of course. They don't have Fig Newtons here, but... Yeah, I ate a whole box of Fig Newtons, and my blood sugar is collapsing. It's declining. I'm definitely going to be taking a nap after this collaboration.
Queens are coming off. I don't want to play an endgame against this guy, to be honest.
Yeah, this position is really tense.
Pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, pawn takes, here.
Keep as much tension as possible.
It could be okay for me, but I don't want to go into it, so I'm kind of contemplating on just playing this. Giving him the full center.
And yeah, obviously this position
Alright, here he's gonna have to go back. Then his position's a little crammed, I'll take. He
I think
takes.
white has to be completely fine here. He's made a lot of logical moves.
And then maybe we could even like play d4. Let's push through.
Um, so yeah, e5 is definitely fine. That I think that's a mistake. And the reason I think that that's a mistake is, well, there was really no need for it just yet. I was probably going to have to elicit that move with a6. Now my bishop might become very strong out here.
Because I guess here takes, he just pushes. We don't really need to allow that.
So he's going to have to go for the schizophrenic-like structure with d3 where these pawns haven't yet met each other, and at any point I can advance or he can advance.
Putting some pressure here. And then there's, I mean, he can come in and destroy the structure. But my king would be castled at that point, so maybe we just castle here.
Just try to simplify at all costs. Put the bishop on e7. Maybe I should have played c4. Yeah, I should have considered c4 a bit more. Because the idea of c4 is I'm crunching in on this pawn. He's going to sooner or later have to push one of these pawns to get his bishop out.
So I could play d3 if I wanted to. I could also go for queen e1. Try to bring the bishop or the queen this way.
Yeah, c4 was such a better move.
But in this game, I kind of want to focus on this pawn. He's defending it really well.
This looks exactly like positions I have in my bird course. The only difference here is that this pawn would normally be on b6, and that would be quite significant. With the pawn on b6, he'd be able to play f5, takes, and knight takes pawn here on d5.
Here, takes, here. I'm trying to find a way to make that work. Maybe then I go knight here?
I would assume best for him is probably queen e1, queen g3. He needs to try to strum up some type of play on the king side. It's going to be very hard, though. My bishop is posted perfectly to keep his knight away from doing anything
I could also just play b3. b3, try to go bishop here. And then I wouldn't mind this plan of losing a pawn in the center to open up the bishop. So let's play b3.
b3 is an interesting move.
Yeah, I kind of expected him to just castle.
If he plays bishop b2, then I'm throwing the pawn to c4. It's a really sneaky idea. It might look like he should give me doubled pawns, but I know this again from the bird. We're pretty much in a bird position at this point. He does not want me to have these doubled pawns, believe it or not. My double pawns are not that weak, and the flip side to them is that we are opening up diagonals for my latently powerful bishops.
I'm really considering this move.
My bishops could be extremely powerful if the time is right.
But maybe we just develop our pieces first. Let's put the bishop on this diagonal.
All right, so this is what we're talking about. I really like c4.
Oh, yeah, okay. Pushes. Makes sense. Now if I go here, he's going to play...
Even structurally speaking, if he could get away with that, it would still be very uncomfortable for him. So the thing I really like about this move as well is that now if he ever tries to move this d-pawn, I can just trade, play bishop a6, knight c5, and target this weak d-pawn.
He's getting rid of his weakness, I guess, which really sucks for us.
This is a very strange position, honestly. I would bet that if we put this in the computer, it's not yet worse for him.
Yeah, maybe we should have played bishop a3.
He needs to be very patient here and make sure not to create any new weaknesses. So for instance, a good move would be knight a4.
Taking's a horrendous move.
Knight a4 is a classic idea in birds.
Takes. I mean...
Yeah, this is more or less a bird position.
I split my pawn structure, but... Oh, maybe his plan's to use this file like this?
I love this c4 move so much. You can also now play knight c5. The idea is I want to play d4 at the right time, but I do not want to give the knight this good e4 square. So we're going to play knight c5, cover that e4 square, and then start encroaching further with d4.
Maybe I just play this, get off of this file.
All right, king h1, sneaky guy. Sneaky guy, I know what he's up to. All right, I have a lot of cool ideas here. Knight c5 I really like.
I'm not really worried about him taking, because I'll take like this. I get the open rook file, keeps the pawns all together.
And maybe he'd be able to target this pawn in time with something like knight a4 and knight d4, such that I don't have time to execute pressure on that d3 weakness over there. But now with the king on h1, I play knight c5. He's just not going to have enough time to do that. Knight c5, I'm looking at this. Look at this. If takes, I could definitely take back, and that would be okay.
I just the reason why I like king h1 is because this diagonal is really, really, really weak whenever you push the f pawn. And since I committed the bishop to this diagonal here, I can't really protect the king this way.
The idea of d4 would be I would quickly splinter his pawns with d3. And I would drill a knight into the d3 square, and these pawns would be segmented in half. My knight would be on a fantastic square over... I only have one hand because I'm holding the mic, so I can't highlight this as a golden square, but this would be a golden square.
I mean, I don't see a reason not to play here. The reason why I wasn't playing that is because I wanted to go here. But I guess he's just going to go and protect it and improve his pieces.
We're talking about the position after b takes d4, knight e2, and d3.
I could push.
But yeah, for what it's worth though, takes, I could even just take back with the pawn, and that should also be very comfortable. The whole problem here is despite how weak these pawns look, if he ever starts taking them, my bishops are going to just engulf the board and
So let's do that.
b4. I like the way this guy's playing. He makes a lot of very logical moves. It's impressive.
So we do have to be a little bit careful. Queen and king lined up like that.
I want to play rook b8. The problem with rook b8, I don't like knight d4. Knight d4 is very annoying. It hits this pawn. It gives him more or less a free tempo. I'm thinking I should play queen b6, but the drawback of queen b6 is that after takes, it's my queen that's stuck in there, not my rook. Yeah, I'll play rook b8. We're going to go about it this way. If knight d4, I'll reluctantly put my bishop on a pretty ugly square. And yeah, big shout out to Apex Chess. I think he's playing very well at the moment. Very, very good game on his part. You'll have to keep in mind that, like, if my rapid rating was according to my actual strength, I would be probably like 1,000 points. Maybe not 1,000 points, like 800 points higher than him. Something around that. So, he's keeping the game neck and neck. He's doing an excellent job.
I'm threatening this. And if he plays here, well, knight here, I guess queen here?
Yeah, a dream position for me would be in some situation where I somehow trade these pawns off. If I can trade these pawns off, not sacrificing them, but trading them off, my bishop would just shine down this really vulnerable diagonal.
But if I go here, he can't take the pawn just yet. And then I'll play this.
These pawns out of the way. Alright, so here, yeah, you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Sadly, I have to put this bishop on this ugly square just to defend c6. But how is he going to defend b4 now? If he plays a3, I play a5. He's stuck.
Now let's just protect it. Now he's going to immediately go after my structure as he takes, he wins a pawn. Is there a way to protect that pawn? Or am I already losing a pawn?
He plays knight a2, I can dig in further with knight a4. This is starting to get very uncomfortable for him. I think this is the turning point. I think this is the moment where the game is going to start to really go downhill. Maybe it was just this b4 move. I think b4 was the mistake. Yeah, up until then, his structure was really healthy here, but when he pushes b4, now...
Takes, rook takes. I guess I can go knight here.
Okay, takes. He's playing a lot of good moves. That's probably the best move in this position. He should drill his knight to a4 and then play c3, and we have one of the strangest positions I've ever seen, honestly. This is such a strange position. His knights have fantastic squares at the moment. His knights are completely grooved in on two separate outposts. Meanwhile, I have the two bishops, though. I can't be worse here, but how much better could I be?
I would like to get rid of that rook.
That's the crazy thing. If I can break through this knight's outpost and get rid of this pawn, then I could push c5 and get rid of the other knight.
He somehow just like has the bishop pair out of nowhere. I don't understand what happened here.
Maybe was rook b5 even better? Rook b5 is very interesting. Oh, I have such an interesting idea. If he plays c3 is a very logical move. Then I can play rook b5, and the idea is that if he takes, I take back, and his knight, if it comes to b6, it's probably going to get trapped there. Meanwhile, if it goes to b2, it's just going to be dead. It's going to be dead for an extremely long time. I really like that. I really like the idea of rook b5.
Queen here, push, takes, knight takes. The knight becomes pinned. We're threatening mate. But then he just goes here because it's pinned. But then I have this check.
Big shout out to Apex Chess. He is putting on a tremendous fight here. Queen g4, I think this is a step in the wrong direction. I don't think that does anything. I could definitely play f5 if I want.
Also, dude is playing extremely quick. He's got 13 minutes and I got 6:44. I'm over here just using all my brain force. He's probably just chit-chatting away about random stuff and playing the game we all love. But yeah, no, I appreciate
This is a
Raven
really wacky position.
for giving me a chance to play with
All right,
him.
yeah, my idea of f5, there's several ideas. I'm also preparing rook f7 to play queen f8. f5, strategically speaking, f5 is a very big mistake because I'm weakening this pawn significantly. So I should only be playing this type of move.
So that does weaken. Okay, so we're playing a closed position. I don't really want to take. Although, if I take en passant, no, he just takes with the rook. I was gonna say en passant. If bishop takes, we take here and we fork the pieces, but no, en passant, rook takes, and then we're left with some ugly pawns. But we do have a closed position, so could benefit us.
This is really a wild position.
But what do I want to do with my queen now?
This is really a wild position. My opponent is playing unbelievably well for his rating. And also just in general, like this guy's putting on a tremendous fight. His knights are on fantastic squares here.
Yeah, I think I just go here.
I really wish I had a microphone that I didn't have to hold so I could actually highlight the board with different colors.
Just come back with the queen, I guess. He's got some weakness on e6 and c6, but I can't really exploit it. His bishop does a good job of protecting both those squares.
So I sort of switched plans. I'm going to play queen c7. We're going to play rook b8. And only then...
c5 falls, so we can't really do that.
This is a wild position, honestly. I know I've said that like 100 times at this point, but you can only say wild so many times to give this position justice. To do justice to this position. Because this position is wild. This knight on d4 is so strong. It's so insanely strong, this knight on d4. Alright, d3.
Because I want access over here. If I can get to this weak pawn, maybe... I guess it's not that weak, but... Or even protect this with the queen.
So I don't know. He's making it more accessible to actually hit this knight long term. If this queen wasn't so close to e1, I would probably play c3, because if the knight ever takes, I take back on c5, and that's a great deal. Because once this pawn gets out of the way, I can start pushing his knights back, and the game would quickly devolve.
Or maybe we even have ideas of just like rook f3.
I do not want to allow him to trade, and if we trade something like that, his queen gets to c4, and all of a sudden has a pure line of vision against this weakness on e6.
Now, I did just say I want to get here.
Again, to the best of my abilities, I'm trying to hold this pawn in place.
But I'm not so sure anymore.
So he has a really interesting decision here. He could take with the queen. Queen takes would make a lot of sense, because then he could play c3 and keep his knight really reinforced here. I have to figure out what to do about this pawn. If I could just defend this pawn, I could rotate my bishop.
Because all these squares are occupied, so he can't really come in. The only move he really can come into my position with is this. So if I get here and here, I'm protecting this. I can maybe play this move. But at that point, he probably just sacks the rook, honestly.
Rook b8. Yeah, what is going on here? I could probably play rook b5 now. Rook b5, I'm going to have an enormous amount of compensation. Takes, his knight has to go back to some square. I can start getting rid of these pawns. And most importantly, I've completely just dislodged his knight out of that square.
Can't really go here. That would be nice, but it's not possible.
That could be very interesting. I'm starting to really seriously look at rook b5 stuff. Also, another idea, maybe my bishop... Let's get my bishop into c4, actually. I'm going to play king f7, bishop c8, rook a7, bishop a6, and bishop c4. That would be very strong. Yeah, this is a very tense situation.
Go queen here, maybe?
I definitely think black has the upper hand here, but his knights are doing a tremendous job of holding the position together.
Queen here, knight comes in, rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes. And then we could take this.
That clock is starting to tick.
But if I go here, he can just play this too. Like there's no need of that move. No need at all. Let's play queen here. I think at some moment he's gonna play
I'm just gonna
g5.
keep. Oh well, no. Actually, here now, Rook B5 would be fantastic.
Maybe I should have been prepared for that.
Well, wait. Rook B5 takes Knight B2. His knight is coming around to a D3 square, which makes sense. But how good would that position? I think I'm close to winning there. Actually, I'm gonna play it. Rook B5 is super interesting.
Rook there? What? What is that move? I take, he takes. What? Takes.
So yeah, the trick is that after takes Knight B2, I'm pretty sure I can play Queen takes C5, and I'm gonna be entering an extremely good endgame. His knight might look nice on D3, but when my bishop posts itself on D4, my bishop will be covering an enormous amount of squares, and my rook is going to dig into C8 and C3. Alright, yeah, he took. It's very hard for a player to resist taking an exchange against a Grandmaster.
Oh, I can't go here. Here.
But now he will pay the ultimate... He will pay the ultimate positional price, and what I mean by that is we're about to break through on the C file. He's going to have huge issues, and notice that his knight is going to be so far from targeting the only pawn that he possibly could, which is B5.
We are still up in exchange, though. He's gonna get the pawn. Do you really think this endgame is that much more favorable to him? Okay. I guess he's got the bishop pair.
I would bet if we put in the computer, I'm much better here. Because, yeah, with my rook on c3, I'm just targeting both of these pawns here. I'm targeting all of these. He still has some tremendous problems to deal with. How is he going to defend this pawn? If he defends this pawn, then I just... Well, okay, if I play rook c3, he plays rook b3, so I need to be a bit careful. Notice I'm making sure not to let his rooks in.
If I go here, he just plays this.
We could start to have some problems. So I'm making sure the rooks cannot get in.
This is an ugly move.
If I take on c2, I need to be very careful that his rooks don't just double and then he invades with the second one. So he goes there.
And then we're going to make a left while we can.
Hmm.
We're up a pawn. Or we're up an exchange for a pawn, I guess.
He's doing a great job. Here I could play B... This is wild. I could play b4 takes and bishop b5. Hit this rook. I guess rook comes to f3. I don't have anything just yet.
And not to mention, we have 2 minutes to his 12.
Alright, I think rook c3. Rook c3, rook f3, and my idea there is just to play a4. He's going to take, I'm going to take, and then... Oh, no, he can play knight... This is a wild position now. This is a really wild position. I should be very careful about how I trade off the rooks. I have to say big shout out to this guy. He's put up an incredible defense up until now. How am I going to play the rest of this, though? So at the moment, notice that, yeah, as long as his knight is not getting to c3 or d4, I don't have to worry about ever... I don't have to ever worry about being worse.
I'm wondering what his plan going forward would be, though. His light squared bishop needs to improve.
Bishop c3, rook f3, b4 takes, and then I play a4.
Because I'm not really threatening e6 anymore, so he's gonna...
But then he pushes his, I push, and then he's gonna take here at some point, and then push b6. I play a2. That's a complete mess. This position is a complete mess, guys. It's a mess here. It's a mess, folks. Maybe, should I transfer my bishop around to c4? That would be a great idea. I think I'm going... Can I do that, though? Bishop e8, rook f3, bishop h5, and my bishop is going to come around to c4. That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant, but the problem is he's going to play rook d3.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to try and consolidate. I don't know what else I can really do right now.
Wait, what am I thinking about? Just transfer the rook to... Let me put the rook on c4 to begin with. Rook on c4 is very good. I'm hitting a lot of things. I could play rook a4 at a moment's notice. I could also just drop the bishop back to c5.
So I actually think he wants to play bishop e3 and take that pawn, because if that pawn falls, then we're going to have some troubles. So what I'm thinking is I play g3 to protect everything. And maybe bring the king out. So let's protect this. However, I mean, this looks insanely terrifying.
Alright, now I can play... I think now bishop c5 should be fantastic. Bishop c5, I'm attacking this pawn.
Yeah, he wants to push the pawn and then go here.
Very sneaky threat here. He actually has a lot of issues.
I could go here right now.
And my bishops are finally going to reveal themselves.
It gives this pawn, however. And he's attacking this pawn. Maybe rook up?
This guy's profile pic is so funny. It's just like a thumbnail. It's one of those thumbnail photos.
Almost toast here, aren't I?
Knight d3 looks like a very good option. If knight d3 rook takes c2, all of a sudden he plays rook c1 and the tables turn.
Let's go rook up.
Okay, he plays rook b3. I will play a4. I want him to commit this rook somewhere ugly. Rook f3, then I get him with bishop c6. Same as before. Rook d3 is probably best, but even then I play bishop c6. This is so uncomfortable for him. What is he going to do here? He can't... If he moves the knight at all, I take on c2. All right, here I'm going to play d4. We're going to throw in a check. I'm going to bring the bishop to e4, and I think I'm finally breaking through. This guy has put up an insanely resistant defense.
He's getting through now.
This guy's effort. But it seems like finally this is the last straw that will break the camel's back. Rook d2. Okay, now I can start snatching up the apples. Bishop takes a3. I could now drill my bishop into c3. If my bishop is able to drill into c3, the game is just going to be over. He's not going to have any recourse to stop these pawns from advancing. Knight d3 is really his last option at this point. If he doesn't get knight d3 in...
Let's go here.
Very good move. Always a good move. I would love to take here and then take on d3, but unfortunately he starts having checks, and that's...
Also stops him from playing this, but not really. He can just he probably wants trades now. Those bishops, man. Every master I've talked to is always a fan of the bishop pair, and this is why. They're just so dominating.
All right, I got a very interesting idea here. I want to play bishop f8. Bishop f8 is such a sneaky move. Bishop f8 is an unbelievably sneaky move. The whole idea is I'm getting ready for that tactic to work. I'm going to take on c2 and take on d3. And also I'm preparing a3.
Bishop all the way back. I guess he can just do that. So if I go here...
And especially, you know, I'm an observant man. He doesn't have much time. Yeah, he blundered into it.
Oh, man. That's so nice. Why you gotta do that to me?
This guy put up. I would easily appraise that this guy's level was like 2200 if I didn't know it was rated. I really had to work for that game. I want that to be clear. I really had to work.
I mean, I guess I can go here.
Okay, well now he's just blundering.
It's pinned. It's pinned to the king. Okay.
It's over, folks.
Yeah, we're just gonna resign now. Good game to my friend. Yeah, let's take a look at that game. That was crazy. He played with a 90.4 and I played with an 82. I didn't have any massive blunders, but I'm curious to see where I went completely wrong, and we were actually winning at one point. So this is all Grand Prix stuff. And taking was best. We're slightly better here, according to the computer. The computer is really wanting him to play c4, probably just to trade off his weakness. And as soon as he did that, he was actually a little bit better. I missed something. I should have went here first, but I thought this was a little bit of a waste of time because he was just going to protect it, but okay. I guess not. I guess not. Push. Goes there. And then that was a mistake because we take here and then we have this nice knight a4. So I'm glad that I found that. And we were actually slightly better, but I mean, come on. It's so hard. These Grandmasters just make chances out of nowhere. Like here, I'm plus 1.4, apparently. So we're winning against a Grandmaster. And then, in Apex fashion, we make a mistake, of course, and that mistake will always be followed up by another mistake, and then the end of me. It really wanted this. It wanted c4. Why? I don't really know. I guess because it's, if this pawn gets taken, I guess he probably wouldn't take. But if you were to take, then these are isolated pawns, or this is, and this is. Maybe that's the idea. And I've got the knights, so yeah, this is such a nice move. And I took, which was not right. We should have, we knew. Dude's a grandmaster and he's sacking his rook. There's a reason for that. Anyways, I was intrigued. Let's take. And then I was actually debating on this. I did think about this move, but I didn't really enjoy this. But apparently you can go here, sack the knight, queen a7. What? Oh, queen a7, sorry. Go here. And then they gotta protect. And then you get the other rook in. And there's no way for him to protect the piece, and we get it back. Okay. Well, I didn't see any of that. Of course, I traded. And this is just a better endgame for him because he's got the bishop pair. I have my pieces all stuck. And then we go rook here, which is a big mistake. The other rook was actually better. And this isn't as bad. But I guess by going here, it becomes a target. So I probably should have been thinking about that, but I didn't. And then we push because there was no checkmate threat because when he pushes, we can go here, but it's still a little unpleasant. And yeah, we didn't go for that. Made a left, moved up, and then we got this. And we go knight here, which is the best move. He goes all the way back. Rook here, and he has the brilliant rook sack, of course. I don't think it works if we're here because, I mean, yes, he gets this, but now there's no skewer. So now it's just 2 bishops versus 2 rooks. And then, yeah, I mean, tactical shot. He took his opportunity. He seized it. He got that win. But I think we played pretty good considering the skill gap, and I'm very happy with the results of this game. Once again, if you have not checked out his channel, it will be in the link in the description. Thanks again, Raven. I appreciate that. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I mean, you crushed me, but I expected that. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in another one.